People get on their horse and they ride it to the end.
We're about kicking the fucking horse out from under you on this show, folks.
Right.
So that you can't ride it all the way to the end. And I gotta tell you, since I started this show, I can't find my fucking horse.
It's the 10th day of April, 2016. And here it is, the Radical Agnostic, where ideology goes to die. My name is John. I'm the host. My co-host is Mark Beef. We have the stowaway guest, Bryan Richter.
Hi.
And our special guest, it's my honor to present once again, returning, Kristine Richter.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming.
She has a little
Happy to be here.
soft. It's a little soft voice. Oh, hi.
Little bird voice.
I'll try and be more forceful.
No, you're fine.
Just right up to your lips.
There's plenty of stuff to talk about today, guys. We're not going to make it to all of it, but we're going to talk about the exploration and exploits of Magellan, the Spanish/Portuguese explorer.
Yeah, Portuguese.
A little
kind
of both.
of defected to Spain to get what he wanted. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Campaign in the Ass 2016.
In other words, we're going to talk about Bernie Sanders.
I think I talk more about Trump than Bernie, don't I?
I think today we're probably going to talk more about Bernie.
Sweet nectar. But to begin, folks, we have to do anger management with Bryan Richter.
Oh, fuck that. We're going to go right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
so
cool.
Recent.
Just lay it out for us, brother. Just give it to us straight.
Well, this brings me to it. Like, I want to start with kind of a philosophical question that I was asking. Like, her and I are driving around one day, and she can vouch for me, man. I don't do anything to bother people when I'm driving in traffic, and for some reason, I'm just a fucking asshole magnet. People fuck with me in traffic.
And he, in fact, drives more and more like his dad all the time, which is slow and cautious.
Well, from what I hear, Kristine, it's you who have the road rage problem.
Yeah.
I try to get places quickly.
So you're agreeing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're agreeing with him that he is less aggressive on the road than you.
Way less aggressive.
Okay,
yes.
but he gets in more incidents.
Definitely.
Well,
Maybe because he's a guy.
Yeah, because maybe the other party is like pissed off he's going so slow. And
Well, dude,
what the fuck are you doing, dude? Come on!
I'm like the speed limiter 5 miles over, man.
He
I
doesn't go slow.
Like, I'm not under the speed limit.
Well,
He used to be kind of like me, a little aggressive, and now he's just kind of normal. You know,
So I'm mellow.
All right, I'll try to believe that. I've been in the car with Bryan,
But people are fucking with me, man.
but you kind of drive like
Very slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
straight grandma, dude.
on purpose.
You did own a Camry when I met you. And that's
what I have now is even worse. Is a '96 station wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, Camrys are known for grandma cars.
But you know, I have a Bernie Sanders bumper sticker, so I have to represent him well when I'm on the road, and so I obey all traffic
Yeah.
laws.
And it's slow-moving, rickety Subaru. Like, that's your typical Bernie supporter right there. It sums it up.
Granola eating
Yeah.
dork. All right, here go, Bryan. What happened?
So, but at one point, I'm like, this fucking guy now, this guy too, right? So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm starting to feel sorry for the next guy.
What do you mean, this guy? I don't understand what you're saying.
Like, we're driving, some dude's fucking with me in traffic. I'm like, you get a load of this guy, and I'm like, I'm starting to feel sorry for the next guy.
Yeah.
And
because you're getting angry.
Yeah. So my philosophical question becomes then at that point, have I become a homing beacon for the next guy?
I certainly think there's some kind of law of attraction there, and not in the.
I mean, like now, because I'm waiting for him.
You're right.
Because a part of me is like, okay, so I'll expound on that. I'm coming home from like CPR training or something, and I round the corner with my sandwich. I'm happy. I love sandwiches. It's a Carmichael. It's so good. A shameless plug for Hoagie House on 22nd Street. Best sandwiches in Tucson. I'm just saying, if you're around, go check it out. They're really good. Like, best sandwiches in Tucson. That's on me.
All right.
I come around the corner, there's a dude, he's all redded out, like he's in the middle of the street, and I'm like...
You're at the intersection or
no,
stop sign?
I'm going down my own street, but I'm on the far end of it. The dude's in the middle of the street, and I'm like, man, I just got this feeling that dude's not going to get out of the middle of the road. Like, he's going to make me drive around him. All right, fuck it. You know, at that point, a part of me is like, I hope he doesn't do that. But then another part of me is like, I wish he would. Because I'm not... A lot of frustration over the past year, you know, dude. I'm not the happiest guy right now. So
the guy's basically sauntering across the street, making you stop on purpose.
No, he's walking down the middle of it right towards me, like dead middle of the fucking street. So as I turn the corner, he sees me, and he starts making this hand gesture, like, go around me. And I'm like, all right, man. So I didn't have to honk when I drove by him. But I did, and if I wouldn't have, he probably wouldn't have yelled out, fuck you, cracker.
Which he did.
Which he did. And if he wouldn't have yelled out, fuck you, cracker, I wouldn't have stopped and got out of my car. And if I wouldn't have stopped and got out of my car, he wouldn't have said, you better fucking get back in your car, Grandpa.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
And because I hadn't totally decided what I was going to do when I got out of the car, but when he said...
You might have just given him a stern talking to.
Right.
Dressed him down a little.
But when he said, you better fucking get back in your car, Grandpa, dude, I'm like, I'm gonna punch you in the face. I'm not even gonna say any words. So I'm like, okay. So I'm nodding and I'm walking up to him, and that motherfucker's like, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. And he was still saying that when I hit him in the mouth. So
were you walking up with your hands at your sides with them down?
No, I was shaking my finger, and then when
Bill
I got
Clinton
there,
style.
I just put my finger just out like this, and he looked at it, and I hit him in the mouth. Fuck it. So I roll him up. I go knee to belly.
So wait, you punch him in the mouth. He goes down.
No, not right away. I hit him again, and then like I kind of got up into him and displaced his hips and just tripped him down. He rolled around, and I just followed him and went knee to belly. And he tried to roll away from me, and I grabbed his wrist, and I just yanked it up to my shoulder while I had my knee on him.
You could have armbarred him.
Yeah, I could have, but I thought, I'm like, the street's all hot.
Yeah.
I don't knock, fuck it. So I just started hammer fisting him.
Oh.
And then I had just watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And so I ran a couple what I'd like to call chimp sets on him, where you're just using both hands and hammer fists. Yeah, so it must have looked like I couldn't fight at all.
I don't know about that. The guy is on the ground under you, getting his ass kicked.
Well, and then he like turns towards me, and I don't know. He started making that noise where and he's all stiff. So I'm like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to go back in the car, and I take a couple steps, and I'm like, man, I can't leave that dude just laying in the middle of the road,
drag
like
the corpse off the street.
I'm so. Literally, nobody's out in their yard. Like, it's just me and this dude, middle of 24th Street. Fuck it.
Oh, yeah, no one comes out.
Normal day in my hood,
Nobody
right?
cares.
Yeah, normal day in my hood. So I'm like, come here, dummy. Like, I'm all, come on. And I say, like, he's all, I put him over on the side, and I'm still mad as fuck. Like, I want to punch him again, dude. I'm just mad as fuck. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm like, next time you see me, I'm like, look at my face. I'm like, if you see me again, watch your fucking mouth.
Yeah, I think you got that.
And, so he was sitting there. When I got to the house, I just drove into the driveway. Like, he could probably still see me, and I'm looking down the street, and he's still sitting there, and then he gets up and weeble wobbles off down the road.
Oh, okay, so he did make it.
Yeah, it's not my proudest moment, dude. I know, I'm like, Beef's gonna chastise me because the dude never put his hands on me, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm punching you in the mouth. And
Mark takes it easy on you, man. He's not gonna say shit.
But so I was ready.
No, I've been there and hit people before they ever hit me because they piss you off.
Yeah.
They fucking say the wrong shit or whatever.
Cracker, and then when you throw Grandpa on, when you ice that cake with Grandpa, I was like, oh man, that's not what I want. Like, I wish you hadn't called me Grandpa, dude.
Now, on one hand,
and if nothing else, you taught him a lesson to like.
Well, if you're going to talk shit, put your hands up. If you didn't learn any other lesson, learn that one.
If you're going to talk shit, you got to be prepared for what comes. Some people are going to do more than just talk.
Sean Gorman called me like 10 minutes afterwards. He's
Oh,
like,
what?
he's like, dude, you sound a little out of breath. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm a little jacked up. I just got in a fist fight. And he's like, what? What?
Yeah, that must be so crazy to a friend of yours who you don't talk to frequently.
Yeah.
Calls you out of the blue, and then knowing with your reputation, and he's like, "What? You just got into a fist fight?"
It's in the middle of the day, during the week.
It's 12:30. It's in the afternoon. It's like a Monday, dude.
Crazy.
It's not Friday night midnight. It's Monday in my hood. Just a regular old.
Kristine, have you ever hit someone? Have you ever gotten in a fight?
No, the only time I did, I was really, really young. I was walking home from school. I was probably like 6 or 7, and some girl, my sister was older than me, and she was following me home, and she kept pulling my hair and saying stuff to me about about my sister. And so the only thing I did, I turned around, I told her to shut up, and I punched her in the stomach. And
ooh, nice. No marks left behind.
Yeah, that was
I know another guy you punched. I know a guy that you punched. Who?
Oh, you. That doesn't count.
Oh, you. That doesn't count. Yeah, she was really young.
She was probably defending herself.
No, she was really young then, too.
I was just really mad.
Yeah.
You're out all night.
She was super mad.
In
at
the
a party.
face?
Yeah, 3 times.
With
her little fist. Yeah.
Ow.
I could see that she was holding her thumb wrong while she was punching me. And I
could break it.
Yeah, she hit me 2 times, and then I'm like, go ahead, hit me again. And then she did, and it busted my lip, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm done right now. It's enough hitting.
I was more hostile when I was younger.
She was super hostile. She left me at that party that I ended up out at all night.
Things like that happen to most couples, I would say.
Yeah.
So you've been in a few. You both. All men
No.
just
Beef
been in
got
fist
shot.
fights.
No.
Beef's the only person here who's been shot.
That's crazy.
Not all men.
Not all men.
Isn't that a hashtag?
But I would say most men have been, yes, involved in some sort of incidents of violence.
Altercation.
Whether they actually punched the other person or just got punched.
Well,
yes,
yeah. I'd say more than 50%.
You think
yeah,
that seems
have
low.
been punched or have punched. But yeah,
I'd say 100% have been punched or
in their
have
adulthood.
punched.
Or just
I just meant
I'm talking
life.
about adulthood.
adulthood.
I don't know what your question was, Christine.
No,
If you meant
but
it. Yeah, I'm thinking of adulthood because everyone gets in a scrap on a playground.
Right.
But I think in adulthood, in America, I'd say 50% hovering around there, maybe less, because trust me, there's a lot of these actors and people and that grow up in neighborhoods like I did. If I had stayed in that town that I grew up in, I never would have gotten. There's no fights. You never see a fist fight in the suburbs.
Wow.
In rich neighborhoods, in a lot of places.
I guess I've lived in
maybe at a
Tucson too long.
barbecue.
I don't think Neil
That's your
deGrasse
uncle.
Tyson has ever been in a fist fight.
Right.
I could name like 10 scientists.
No, well,
Bill Nye. You think Bill Nye's been in a fist
No,
fight?
definitely.
Look at that neck.
But
You
not
can't tuck his chin.
just them.
Howard
There's,
Stern hasn't
like
been in a
the
fist
whole
fight.
culture of just like basically people just talk shit, and especially now with the internet, people just like go on the internet and just like blah, 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 say whatever, and they never even think about someone might actually do something.
So you
Yeah.
don't even
You know what I
have
mean?
to
And so I think it's way less. I mean, I don't think it's.
because there's so much less face to face.
Yeah.
Shit talking.
Well, and just like that kid,
I
you know,
agree.
that you got in the thing with, I'm sure was like that. And maybe he had never actually been in a fight, and he just grew up with action movies and seeing all this stuff, you know, and rap music or whatever.
He wasn't
and,
totally a
Gotta
kid,
be.
honestly, man. That motherfucker could have been
Well,
about 30.
I just meant younger than you.
Yeah.
Grandpa.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Grandpa.
Now,
But
I just don't think he considered me a threat at all. He's like,
Right.
fuck
Well,
you,
and,
old man.
and
like,
what I'm saying is,
all
I don't
right,
think there's a possibility that he had never been in a fight.
probably
You know what
because
I mean?
the
And he
more
just
fights
could
you've
talk
been
shit and fuck you,
Yeah.
boo, you know, whatever.
the more fights you've been in, the worse or the better you are at distinguishing who might be dangerous. Or in other words, you make fewer assumptions.
Right.
You don't see a guy in his 40s and think, oh, he can't beat me up. His beard is gray. I would never think that. I know so many dudes in their 40s with gray hair who can beat the living snot out of me, and I'm pretty good at fighting, actually.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So, go ahead. No.
I almost hit a woman. It was a black woman who was going across 22nd and not near a crosswalk at all. I was with my mother, and if I had been looking down, like if I had just glanced the radio to turn it or whatever, I would have hit her.
Yeah.
You know, and it would have been awful. And I'm like, why do people do stuff like that? I don't understand. If I would have been looking down for those few seconds, I would have hit her.
Yeah, it's
You know?
it's the kind of it's this like a trick that works every time until the time it doesn't. So that trick, no one's ever hit them. In other words, you know. So that's how they negotiate crosswalks and stuff.
Or like I said, maybe they have and they've got money, and so they're get more money.
I always wonder when I hear pedestrian struck, I'm like, how the fuck did you get hit by a car? Like, are you not paying attention too? And then like you think shit like that. Yeah,
It's a mix of stuff. I think pedestrian deaths from motor vehicles have skyrocketed. You know, motor vehicle deaths have been going down. Gun deaths have been
cars are
going
safer
down.
and
Murder, crime, it's all going down. But pedestrians getting crunched into a Trisket by cars. I don't know. I don't know the reason for that.
And it seems like it happens a lot in Tucson. When you hear the news, they're like,
there's always somebody getting hit by a fucking car in Tucson.
I hate driving more and more. I'm going to turn into like a shut-in.
Yeah, me too, bro. And now I'm on the mobile team. And if I don't drive, I get fucking car sick. So, like, trying to do all the computer shit and write stuff in the car, it's not for me, man.
Yeah. Ever since my tire blew out on the highway a few months ago going 65, I was like, I never want to go on the highway again.
You got a little PTSD, bro?
Yeah, it was terrifying. Easily could have died.
Ugh.
And and Paula was there, and my friend Ryan, and Abe. It was a car full of people I care about.
You know, probably what happened, that's between you and Abe, that's an awful lot of skull in that car.
That's true.
And I'm thinking you guys might have fucking tipped the gyroscope and made that happen. Were you guys on the same side of the car?
We were.
Bad move,
Brian.
Bad move.
Yeah.
You should have offset those melons.
And the tire that blew was on that side, too.
Yep. See what I'm saying?
That's what it was.
Problem solved.
You figured it out.
You guys should have called me. I would have seated you.
Seat placement.
I'd have been like, nah, we can't have that much head on one side of the car. Too top heavy in here. We're going to blow a tire. Especially because of John's like strict maintenance regimen that he puts his car through.
Of neglect. Yeah. Does look out. Anyway,
we're digging a hole in my backyard. John's just going to drive it in one day and then we're going to cover it.
The bumper's still hanging off from that highway thing.
Oh
I know. I admire it every time I park by you.
I did go home and get 4 new tires. I just was like, 4 new tires, please, and 4 new for Paula's car, please.
Yeah.
Smart.
Blowing the tires, that's scary. You can't do anything. You're just like, along for the ride.
Yeah.
Hope it ends well.
Campaign in the ass 2016. Bernie Sanders destroys in the Wisconsin and Wyoming primaries 7 in a row for for the independent senator from Vermont.
That's impressive.
For the independent Democratic senator from Vermont.
From New York.
I think Vermont had negative population growth. I just read that.
That doesn't surprise me.
Negative.
White people.
Yeah, so did Sierra Vista and Douglas and Flint, Michigan. Farmington, New Mexico.
Well, this was the state as a whole.
State as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flint, Michigan, that's because people are dying from the water.
Cities.
Yeah.
The water's the life-giving fluid.
So he's been kicking ass, but it all comes down now to he had to win all of these things. So if I sound like a broken record every week saying he's got to win this next one, it's because he does. He's so far behind. You know, now it's only about 200 delegates that he's behind, real delegates, 600 or 700 if you count super delegates. But he's within striking distance. He has to win like 57% of all the delegates from now on in the race to beat her. So that's a lot. And New York is coming up. It's the next one. It's in 10 days. 260 delegates, massive hall. You know, second biggest.
Are they big Hillary fans?
She was a senator there for 8 years. Yeah. She lives there now.
But who knows if that means they're fans or not.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to my mom, and I guarantee you she is not a fan, so she lives there. But the problem is it's a closed primary. And Bernie, whenever you let independents vote, Bernie destroys. He runs away. He beats all the polls. The polls are always like 10 points underestimating him, and he wins. Or caucus states where people just show up and enthusiastic people make the decision. He wins almost all of those states. New York is a classic closed primary. Only registered Democrats can vote, and the deadline for changing is long gone. So he can't pull any of these new young people, independents, since he started campaigning there a week ago. He can't do that. He has to focus only on people who are already registered Democrats. So it's going to be extremely hard for him to win. Yeah. If he wins even by a hair, I'll be shocked, and it'll change the course of the race, and I will say he might actually win this because it'll be such an upset for her.
Well, and that's why you got most of the New York City magazine, you know, news media and stuff like New York Times, Daily Mail,
New York Daily News, I think.
What's his face? Krugman.
Daily Mail is
and they're all like basically singing the song about how he needs to get out of the way, and he's
pretty much
hurting Hillary's chances.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty much. None are as bad as the Washington Post. Washington Post, a couple of weeks ago, it released 16 articles negative to Bernie in 16 hours.
Why?
And it just does it every day. More come out. I see them. Everyone that comes up. When he wins, it's basically like that meme that shows Wolf Blitzer on Facebook, and it says, "How can Bernie come back from his devastating win in Wisconsin?" Like, that's the media message. Like, he keeps winning, and they're like, it's just not going to happen. He should just bow out. The math doesn't. But in a sense,
who do they back? Who are they?
Well, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay.
Not Fox News. I don't know who they back, but the liberal leaning.
They don't either. They're the most scared
Yeah.
of anyone.
Yeah.
They're like, no matter what happens, we lose. We're either going to get Trump or we're going to go to Hillary.
But
we'll be made to feel the burn.
Huffington Post has come around. They're very supportive of Bernie now, and a few other liberal sources. Salon.
I like the Huffington Post.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Salon.
Yeah, they're so liberal and party line usually. Salon. I can't really stomach.
They're
that.
like liberal. They're like liberal Breitbart.
Mother Jones. I don't know if they've picked a side yet.
They're super liberal.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, dude. Their gun research the article they put out about mass shootings in America was not at all.
That's true.
Not at all lined up with the liberal agenda. Like not at all.
Yeah, they have some honest reporting.
Yeah, it absolutely disputed the liberal agenda.
Yeah.
So like that's pretty. For a liberal, because I was like,
right.
Who? I wanted to source it, and I'm like, well, who the fuck wrote this? Because if it's some conservative rag or agency, I'm not even gonna quote this article on the show. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that's weird. That's Mother Jones. Like they're a liberal.
Well, I found out who Mother Jones was because it was like 19 teens, I think, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the labor movement in West Virginia or Tennessee, something like that, and they had the coal mines down there. And these it was like the robber baron era. These guys, these coal mine owners, they were ruthless. Dudes were dying left and right. They wanted a limited work day and higher pay because that was when you got scrip for payment, which you could only spend at the company store. So they would pay you in that, which wasn't real money, and you could only buy your foods and shower supplies at the company store. And it was marked up to a point where the company...
You were basically an indentured servant.
Indentured servitude, man. This is before the labor movement. Mother Jones was this crazy, 50-year-old lady, big, plump, old marm, and she came out there. She was a labor organizer. She came out there and went from mine to mine and bar to bar and saloon to whorehouse and convinced miners to join this movement and join the union.
Wow.
And eventually, they did. A union was formed. Then the Pinkerton's private security came in and murdered them, and then they murdered tons of private security guys. So it was basically a terrorist thing going on in the U.S. is what they would have called it back then. Wow. I don't know, some president sent in the Army or the National Guard or something. And then the labor movement happened, and people got the right to organize and for collective bargaining rights, and it was a huge deal.
Wow.
It's like the thing that birthed modern progressivism, and Bernie Sanders comes out of that tradition.
So unions came from her actions?
Well, there were unions before her, but she was such a powerful figure and a surprising figure in that that situation and elsewhere. Yeah, she went all over the country doing this. She was super inspiring lady. She got thrown in jail a bunch of times.
Surprised she didn't get killed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did she not get killed?
Because I think maybe she was somewhat protected by her image as a motherly figure
and her fame too.
Yes. Good point.
So did she lose someone who worked in the coal mines, or was it unrelated that she was involved in?
I don't know any more about her. Good question.
When we said she came out there, so she belonged to the union movement. I think my Aunt Marcy's pretty involved in the nurses union back east.
Yeah, the nurses union. Aren't they the ones that backed Bernie? I don't know.
I think they might be. I'm pretty sure she's backing Bernie if I'm following Facebook correctly.
Kristine, did Bryan said you had a Bernie question for me?
Well, yeah, there's the Endangered Species Act, and the wolves are currently listed under as an endangered species. But
which wolves?
The just
Where? Everywhere?
Everywhere in the United States, but some of the individual states, I don't know how they're getting around it, like Oregon has delisted them themselves. And there's groups that are trying to sue to get them back on the endangered species list.
So when I hear constantly from Joe Rogan that the wolves and like that they reintroduced, where is this, in the Northwest?
Mostly in the Northwest, like
Montana?
Idaho and Oregon. Well,
Montana,
Oregon, they kind of
Wyoming.
wandered back in there, but
Yellowstone
Wyoming
is where
and
it started.
It did start in Yellowstone.
They started
in the 90s.
Western wolf reintroduction in Yellowstone.
Okay, so Rogan knows all the top hunter guys, the top nature explorer guys. He has them on all the time, and he keeps going on that there's too many wolves up there now. That's the exact opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's just the ranchers and hunters. For hunters, it's like competition for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like there was just recently, it was on Montana where the wolf. No, it's just outside of Yellowstone where they killed 19 elk. At this feeding station that Fish and Wildlife had out there.
Crazy.
And so and they killed them, they didn't eat them all. They just kind of went on a killing spree. Like they said, it would be considered like trophy hunting, kind of like for
is that their natural behavior?
No, they said it's not. And I wondered if it was because of the feeding station because all these, elk were around it and they just kind of got a little crazy after the...
Like pit bulls getting like into a game and then it turns into a fight.
And I'm thinking maybe if they didn't it wasn't a feeding station, that never would have happened. But they're saying, because of that, they should be able to... They want to be able to control the population themselves as a state and not be under the...
Federal guidelines.
Yeah. And so I just wonder how Bernie would, like how he feels about those type of things, like states wanting to govern themselves as far as like
environmental
research and environmental management.
I'll have to get back to you on that. I'll just try to find out exactly what he thinks. But Bernie is a big government socialist, so he is a fan of federal regulation on things like pollution. He's huge on climate change. He said the biggest threat to the world right now, the moderators at a debate asked everyone. And I don't know, they rattled stuff off. Hillary said Russia. Someone else said this, that. And Bernie said climate change, and the crowd went wild because it was like no one had thought of that. Like no one thought anyone was going to say that. Right. And if the scientific consensus on that is true, then it is the biggest problem.
I would agree. Yeah.
And the temperatures recently have far exceeded the upper predictions.
Right.
It's
over 1 degree, right?
2.
Over 2 degrees already.
Yeah,
over 2
this or the last year it was. That doesn't mean it will be again this year. But they didn't project spikes like that until 20 years from now.
Oh God.
So anyway, I know that he's huge on climate change. He's a huge opponent of the Keystone Pipeline, XL pipeline, and which Hillary Clinton, of
dumping
course,
oil up there now.
Hillary Clinton's been get supporting that and gathing funding for it for 8 years, and now she's against it though. Now she's against it in the last 6 months.
But there's still almost 6 million in contributions to her current campaign from big oil.
Right, fossil fuel. Yeah, exactly. But it's, to be clear, individual. It's guys who work for the oil industry who collect donations from their friends and bundle them into like certain kind of contribution or some kind of donation to her campaign. So she isn't getting money directly from fossil fuel corporations most of the time. I think there is some of that, and she has definitely done that in the past for a long time, in the millions of dollars.
So knowing all that, you would think that he is probably like, we need federal oversight on these things, which I agree.
Yeah, and I do too, because libertarians and anarchists and stuff, they make really good points about how incompetent the government is, how they're not really moral protectors, and look at all these examples where they screwed up. But I think I believe in...
And they're not wrong.
Right, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I believe in such thing as a government because I think capitalism alone is just... There's no incentive to do things like not kill all the wolves.
Exactly.
Or not pollute this river if no one's going to find
that's why reintroduction in the West was necessary in the first fucking place, because they did kill all the wolves.
Right. Yeah. And that's a corporate thing. So when competition alone, I think capitalism is really great innovation and a good thing, but it has to be capped strongly and powerfully. It has to be controlled by this thing called the public sector, where there is no competition impetus. Yeah. There's only we're supposed to stop them from going too far, those private interests. So that's why I believe in, government as an institution. Yeah. But so I don't know. I'll have to look in more deeply if he's ever said anything about the specific thing with the wolves. Why does that one resonate with you?
Well,
you read a lot about.
Well, I have read about. Well, I just think they should be protected. And I see, like when briefly, I guess they had gone to court and they delisted them in like 2012. And then during that time period, all those Western states were just their like killing spree, like let's kill all these wolves. And then in 2014, a judge like repealed that and said no, they need to be on the endangered species list.
I see.
But in that short time, they were like, yeah, we're killing them left and right. They just couldn't wait to do it. Between the ranchers and the hunters. And
well, Rogan can't get enough of this story from like 1910 or something. It was sometime weirdly close to now in Paris, where a pack of wolves killed like 53 people and ate children in Paris.
And this is for real.
This really happened. Like, it wasn't long ago. I can't remember if it was the 1800s or 1900s, but it was sort of modern-ish. Maybe it was even farther back. But anyway, it was modern-ish Paris.
Right.
And there was like an epidemic of wolves. Like, imagine growing up. That's where all those fairy tales, those weird Grimm's fairy tales.
Was it after the plague?
Oh, yeah. Way after. Yeah.
So were they rabid? I mean, was that the story?
I have no idea what happened with those guys.
That's probably
like
what it was.
On
betting money, they were rabid.
What were you going to say, Brian? You were asking someone what they thought of something?
About states' rights to do stuff with the Endangered Species Act and stuff.
To Mark?
Mark's is close to a libertarian, not liking big government, and state government is smaller than federal government.
Yeah,
so
good point.
Like
just wondering where you stand on like managing things like that, like endangered species and natural resources and environmental issues, as opposed to big government overseeing it all and making a standard thing nationwide.
In that argument, I just made.
I'm pretty much. I mean. When it's something like that, that's not really about anyone's liberty or freedom.
Individual rights.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm fine with the federal government making certain things. I still think that it should.
But it limits the rights of hunters, right?
Well, no, it doesn't limit the rights of hunters. It might limit the amount of wildlife out there that hunters could take.
Okay,
but
so
that's
then
go find where they are. Or go, you know what I mean? Like, first off, I don't think that there should be regulations on hunting to begin with. Like, you should be able to hunt whatever you want, whenever you want.
Oh,
and you should become, knowledgeable about what is best for you then in the environment. Like, but I don't think you should have to buy a license and all that kind of shit. So,
but trappers would wipe out whole populations, whole species, if that were allowed. And
fishing, we pretty much wiped out the American bison.
Yeah, corporations
there was no regulation
would fish out all the lakes, and
that's why there is an Endangered Species Act.
Yeah, what about whales and
shit to extinction?
You don't care about all those whales?
I really don't, because I think people are gonna wipe themselves out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if people are too stupid to not fuck with their environment and the place they live, then go for it. Be it, do it. And you're going to be dead, or your progeny is going to be dead, or whatever. I don't give a fuck. We're a cancer on this planet anyway. If we want to take ourselves out, go ahead.
You've been on a steady ideological slip and slide from radical liberal to libertarian to anarchist to nihilist. You landed at the bottom of the pool of the slip and slide.
I'm just
Mark's like, no, I don't care about him.
I mean,
I get what you're saying.
Do I care about them? Like, yes, I care about them, and I'd like them to still be around in my lifetime, and I'd like them to be around, further on down the road for other people's lifetimes. But you know what? If people are going to do stupid stuff, then they're going to do stupid stuff. And I don't think you can legislate, just like you can't legislate for morality. You can't legislate against stupidity. Like, I mean, because
But that's not stupidity. It's self-interest for a lot of them. They're making money off of it.
No, but it's stupidity because
like
if you're going to make money and then eventually not be able to make that money because you wiped it all out, then really that's self-interest. The self-interest is to keep them around so you can keep doing what you're doing.
And there's been collectives in certain lakes and coastal communities where they came together and made agreements on fishing. It's hard to do, and it usually doesn't happen, but it has happened. So Mark's saying like cooperative people getting together and going, let's not fish out this lake so we can fish it for the next 50 years.
Like we don't even like that's an that's like an agrarian.
An agrarian people would have those values,
right? Yeah. And we don't have those values. I don't know that many places do.
That's what I'm saying is the problem. It's not the problem of the government and whatever else.
No, it's
the problem
values.
of the people are values.
How much value
and like how are we going to learn those values?
That's a very
Who's going to teach us those values? Is the government going to teach us those values by creating a law? I don't think they are.
But you want me to tell you something weird about? There's something Crazy Horse said called the 7-generation prophecy.
Yeah.
Right? And those he's saying those values are being lost.
Well,
the exact ones that we're talking about. And he said in 7 generations it's going to be so bad that they're going to come back to us and want to learn the old ways. Basically, I'm massively paraphrasing.
Right.
They're going to come back to us and basically learn the old ways. And we're at the peak of that right now. And if you go back 25 years a generation, been roughly 7 generations since he said that.
So don't you think
it's just a weird little coincidence?
The nativist sort of movements, I guess it started in like the 60s or
but
something.
It seems stronger right now.
Much stronger.
And more organized and more...
much stronger.
Vocal?
And it's ridiculous. It's like...
It's been corporatized. I mean, Whole Foods and stuff like that. You know, maybe a lot of that is more ethically produced. That's why we try to go there when we can afford it. But... it has been... But anyway, I'm just being negative. But you're right. The 7-generation prophecy...
It's about... Yeah. It's about right there, man.
What were you going to say, Kristine?
I was just thinking maybe it's more of a population problem, like us being able to think that way, the way that we should about, hunting or whatever. I mean, there's way too many people for that to ever be feasible. I mean, I think it's an overpopulation problem in the world.
But less and less people hunt nowadays than, ever before. So
right.
I think you're correct to a certain extent, but less people are even involving themselves in those activities.
Well, around here, but I mean, you got places that like... In Arkansas, they get a fucking week off for deer season. In Pennsylvania, week off for deer season.
2 weeks.
Like 2 weeks, yeah.
I think a little bit less than half of the population lives in rural communities. I mean, it used to be in 1910. It was like 98%.
Almost none of the animal population lives in urban communities. It's all in rural
and that's what I'm saying. I don't think like nowadays. Go to New York City, go to Milwaukee or Madison, Wisconsin, go any like big metropolitan areas, ask people how many of them hunt, and hardly any of them are going to say yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
10%
but in Perryville, Arkansas, school's
small.
empty in deer season. Hell, the girls grab their bows and hop in the back of the truck, dude.
Yeah, there are places, hotbeds.
But you're right; it's definitely minority that hunts.
And plus, Kristine, how much of the population would you have to chop off to get it to an agrarian like small?
I think we'd have to get rid of like 90% of people.
Did you see her nodding when he's like, there a cancer on the planet? She's like, yes, we are. He's like, we should just wipe ourselves out. She's like, yes,
I agree.
Yes.
I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Yeah.
I think we are part alien, and that's why we don't fit in the whole system. Yeah, I'm sure that's it.
Well, she's like, where's that train Mark's on going? I'm going to get on that fucker. It seems like the place I'm headed.
Uh-oh. You guys hear the music? It's Shot in the Dark.
Uh-oh.
Shot in the Dark.
Nobody ever gets these. Did Eddie get one, that fucker?
Yeah, he got the first one dead on.
Big brain on that guy.
Jerk. I got to look it up here. So the topic is global shower averages.
Global shower averages.
Hygiene routines.
So are you saying like...
by country.
Like by is it a percentage? What are we talking?
How often people do it? Is that what it is? Like
good question.
Frequency?
I think I'll start first with this part of this trivia question. Okay. In which country does the population shower the most on average per week?
U.S.
Bryan?
Japan.
Mark?
I'm going to go with U.S. right now, although if I was able to think about it more, I'd probably choose some other place. But I'm going to go with U.S.
Feel free to scream it out if you think of it.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's Japan because Japan takes a lot of the communal showers, and so I think.
Well, that's probably why they do it more.
It's a lot more fun.
Right? Would be fun. Well, okay, it's not the U.S., so everyone.
I knew that was too obvious.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to pick somewhere else, but I don't think it's Japan.
Wait, Australia.
Oh, you picked Japan?
I picked Japan.
Japan is indeed above the U.S. in global shower
That's
averages.
crazy.
They're far less than us in average shampoos. Okay,
they have
because
really
their fucking
nice
hair is awesome to begin with.
They have awesome
grow
hair.
silk for hair.
Yeah. But they did beat us.
Was that racist?
They beat us by a small margin, Japan. So we're right there with them. And I'll tell you, both of those nations are towards the global top. We are very much showery people. But by far, the winner was far and away. It was gone from all the rest of these, like Japan, U.S., Middle East as a region, and Brazil, all about the same towards the top of the scale.
Middle East?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But this one country destroyed everyone, and it is Mexico, with an average of 6.5 showers per week, whereas we have an average of 4 showers per week.
Really?
Yeah.
Mexico.
Really? Because I
destroyed us.
I pretty much average about 7 showers a week.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you guys shower every day.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. But and at the bottom of the list,
Beef's even this out. Beef's canceling me out.
Wait,
though,
can
I
we
think.
take
We're
a guess at the bottom of the list?
oh yeah.
Okay, who would you guess is at
I
the
got
bottom?
2 here towards the very bottom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I do about 2 or 3 showers a week.
Okay, like the
You're like the
Democratic
country
Republic
of-
of Congo.
That's what I do, 2 or 3.
Okay, what am I gonna say?
Like I'm going with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah,
Okay, good
throwing
call,
that in there.
Who are you gonna go with?
Not racist at all.
Maybe Zaire. No, I'm just thinking about the level of development in those countries.
It's got to be
Darfur.
wherever, someplace that has a lot of desert.
Yeah, Darfur,
So
Somalia, something
Somalia.
really underdeveloped.
Yeah, it would be-
Ethiopia or whatever it's called.
I'll give you the second worst. Did you guess?
I
Christine?
haven't because
Oh.
I'm like, God, I don't know. I want to
Come on, guesswork.
guess
I
where.
can give you guys
Get
a
after
hint.
it.
How about
Okay.
Antarctica?
And
It's not a country.
No.
Who would want to, man? Never shower.
Yeah, not a country. And there's only 50
okay,
people
what was the
on it.
hint?
All right, you guys want the hint?
I want a hint.
This one is a common stereotype coming true.
That's
Oh.
not
No,
a shot in
France?
the fucking dark.
Oh,
France
oh
or Germans.
Shoot, yeah.
France is indeed second from the bottom.
Wow.
Smelly.
But it's not the lowest.
Remember
No
what I told you
clues
about
on that.
Remember what I told you
No
about
clues.
Paris?
No clues.
Thailand.
Brian?
The lowest?
Thailand's probably not right.
Mark?
Actually.
Like I said, I have to think it's someplace desert like Somalia or Ethiopia.
What about
That was-
Germany?
that was my
They're
guess,
not
too.
strong people, but-
I think there's a desert here somewhere. It's a big country. It is India. But it's mostly wet and humid there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So India and France at the bottom. Russia's down there.
And a ton
China's
of
down
poverty, right? Isn't there like just massive amounts of poverty in India?
Yes,
so
indeed.
yeah,
So
that's
what's
probably
France's
more the
excuse?
reason.
What's France's excuse then?
there. I don't know. It's a cultural thing. I
Well,
guess.
and a lot of showers or bathing in India happens in the Ganges River, which is
Wow.
full of crap and dead bodies. So,
Ew.
how much of a shower is that?
That's awful.
Australia, also very high, higher than us.
I'm not surprised. I was going to say Australia.
Clean folks? You mean for showery people?
Shower
What do you mean?
people.
Showery soapy people higher than us?
What about
Yeah.
Britain? Where are they?
They're a little bit lower than us.
Yeah.
A little bit less.
Where they rank in old toothbrushing?
Yeah, they're behind. They're behind us in shower averages and average shampoos. Anyway,
So, this is the amount of times in a week or the amount of time
Yeah,
you
showers-
shower each day?
No,
No,
showers per
times in a
week.
week.
Per week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we average 7 around our house. 14 if you count both of
All
us.
that water in the desert.
yeah.
That's bad.
Did you take long showers or did you like jump in and jump out?
I try to be very efficient.
Yeah, we are quick.
Christine's like half an hour tops.
Did you brush your teeth while you're in the shower?
Like
Yeah.
maybe
Home
12 minutes.
And pee in the shower while you're...
No.
I'm not answering that question, Mark. Only if it's that kind of party.
Well, I'm just saying, it's supposedly good for your feet, right?
Well,
Like,
uric
cures
acid, yeah,
athlete-
it'll fight
athlete's
that
foot.
fungus. That's
Yeah.
old mountain man trick to pee on your athlete's feet. Uric acid eats up the fungus.
They also threw in a couple like ideal man, ideal woman questions in this poll. So the ideal man, 89% of respondents of both sexes said has short hair. has his nails cut short, is clean-shaven, has a natural complexion without the use of creams, does not wear jewelry, wears cologne, but wears cologne was only 51% said that, so just as many people didn't say that.
No, not just as many. 49% said no.
Very close. Ideal woman, shaves her legs, wears jewelry, wears perfume, has long hair, does not wear her hair up, does not wear makeup, and uses skin cream.
And this is both
Still
sexes.
doesn't wear makeup, though.
Both sexes?
55% said does not wear makeup, which I am down with that.
That's men and women?
You don't have to never wear makeup.
No, that's just for women. The ideal woman.
Oh, no, I mean men and women polled.
Yeah, men and women both were polled for these
answers. And where was this polled at, though? Like in...
For new listeners, Mark is a huge fan of polling.
He loves. I thought it was just like people that read Cosmo or like who's
Cosmo and Men's Health.
Yeah,
I like when Beef gets after John's polls, man. It's one of my favorite aspects of the show.
I don't want to say actually how this was done because it was not reliable at all.
So scratch that whole poll thing.
Shot in the dark. Facts that aren't facts that you don't know. It was a Reddit poll with 562 responses, which is a lot of people, but internet polls are not reliable. Paula and I did a study at the U of A, like a relationship thing relating to food or something. Yeah, we had to go in there like 3 times, but we got like $150 each or something.
Wow, that's cool.
This you just have to type on the computer for about 10 or 15 minutes a week. So if you guys want to do it, man, I'll put you in touch with him. He's a really nice guy, man. Smart as fuck.
So food, did it like make you want to eat more?
No, because we didn't get to eat anything there. I wish it was. They just brought us in and were like, how many fights do you get in a week? And then they're like, what did you eat today? And then they call you every day for 10 days at every meal.
What did you eat today?
And you have to, and they're like, how? And you're like, I had a banana. And they go, was it a small, medium, or large banana? And I was like, medium, large? Like, I can't make choices. I want to be too, I'm like, I would say it's in the 68th percentile of banana size. And then like, what else was in the shake? I was like, grapes, strawberries, and orange. And they're like, what size orange? Small, medium, large. And it went on. God. These calls took like 15 minutes each.
You're like, I'm earning my money for sure.
For the sake of science.
Are
you done shooting in the dark?
Yeah, we're done with that shit. Should we do A, Magellan, B, a story about Hillary Clinton as a lawyer, defense lawyer?
Fuck, that's Scab.
Defending a
Barnaby.
A child
I didn't mean to call your girl a Scab.
Child molester. Yeah. Or C, animal intelligence. Which one should we do? You guys have to figure this out.
Well, you wanted to talk about Magellan.
Yeah, but if nobody else wants to, there's fucking 4 people sitting here.
I'd rather hear about Magellan than talk about any of the other stuff. So
because Mark's like, if I have to choose between getting punched in the face and a nail driven through my foot, I guess I'll take the nail.
And talking about Hillary.
You know what though? Like a lot of times, man. I mean, because that story seems like clickbait to me. Just for this fact.
Which story?
The just defending a child molester story. Just for this fact. Because you could be the junior person in the office that they're like, you're taking the fucking chomo.
Did you hear about this?
No.
Oh, see, you're exactly 100% right. It was clickbait. It was clickbait, and my whole point was to go radical agnostic-y.
Yep.
But there were some other weird things about her in it. But yes, it was clickbait.
If you don't realize
defense lawyers have to defend whoever gets assigned to them.
If you don't realize
everyone in this country
media
has the right to a fair trial.
I know, but by this point in time, if you've been following this crap at all, if you don't realize that the media, depending on who it is, they've got their favorites, and they all fucking, do their stuff with that perspective, that viewpoint, and try to make the other candidates look bad. Like, you're just not paying attention. Like,
right, but I just wanted to give an interesting example of it that pushes against my own biases.
Right.
So, anyway, yes, she defended a child molester. Yes, she got him off with time served. Yes, she had to defend this guy. He was her client. Right. And yes, she kind of laughed about it in the interview, but she was telling a legal story, wasn't talking about child rape.
But that's the same reason, like, she can, say whatever she whatever they're saying about Sanders and the Sandy Hook thing, because he thought that gun companies shouldn't have to
be held liable
for someone using a gun and shooting people. Which,
Hillary Clinton tweeted
is Ford or Chevy being held liable when someone goes and drinks and drives and kills somebody? No, so
right.
I think it's stupid. Yeah.
She tweeted that Bernie Sanders was chose the gun manufacturers over the families of the victims.
Please,
everything's so black and white.
Stupid.
Okay, that's a nice thing to say.
Everything's black and white.
That's ridiculous.
To your clean campaign opponent, mostly Bernie. Go ahead, Brian. That's Magellan. This guy.
Magellan.
What year is this? This is
early 1500s.
Okay, so we're about
1520, I think, is roughly when they left.
So we're about
either
20 years.
So just a couple decades after Columbus.
Well, here's the thing, and they said in the beginning of the book, like, dates are... They use some kind of different calendar.
Yeah.
So dates are weird. They might be off a year or two.
Not everyone was on the Gregorian, the new calendar.
Right.
Some of them were still on like a revised Roman calendar that had like...
when we thought the world was flat still.
In 1520?
Yeah. A lot of the sailors still thought the world was flat.
Definitely.
There was only
Magellan didn't, did he?
No, he believed it was round. That's why he agreed to take on the mission. He thought there was a straight that he would find.
It wasn't considered demonstrably proven yet?
No, there was only like one globe, and he would have never even had access to it.
Wow.
They were a new thing. People still thought the world was flat, that North and South America were connected to Asia, and that if you could find a water route through, that you would be like past the Philippines and over to India within like a few days.
Wow.
They had no idea that the Pacific was like bigger than the rest of the fucking world combined.
Yeah, this is before Descartes, Newton, the scientific revolution. This is before...
Amerigo Vespucci is the teacher at the Spanish...
That guy.
He's the teacher at the Spanish Navigators School in Seville or Castile, something like that.
Okay.
So Magellan, he approaches King João III, I think it's Portuguese, so... several times to launch this armada.
Now, who's kicking more ass right now, Portugal or Spain?
Portugal.
Yeah.
They own the spice trade.
Spain hasn't had their day yet.
No, Portugal rules the seas, and the Pope has divided the world into the Portuguese half and the Spanish half. And Magellan's contention is what he's basing this all on is if he goes this other way, he can get to the Spice Islands, and he thinks they're not actually in the Portuguese section of the world, that they're in the Spanish section, and he can claim it for Spain. This is his claim when he goes to make his pitch to King Charles.
Of Spain.
Yeah, who eventually buys it. There's a whole bunch of the way it gets financed and who pays for that, and it's this weird, I don't know, they're kind of like the French Fed, extorting the royals and loaning money everywhere, and these German money loaners got in on it, and everybody was trying to profit. So anyway, they're gonna suit up 5 ships, and he's gonna take off to find a water route to the Spice Islands, the back way across the Americas.
So he gets the money from King Dumbass.
Yeah, and then
writes him a check of gold.
Yeah, he gets all kinds of rights. He's the captain general. He's the king's agent, so he can mete out justice.
Absolute authority.
So they head out, 5 ships, the port of St. Julian. It's down in South America somewhere. They keep searching all these little bays, trying to find this water route across. Obviously, they're not going to find it because it doesn't exist. And but there are map makers and cartographers who theorize that one exists. They have it about where Panama is. That's where they have it. But he had to go all the way around South America.
And it's like a 30-mile stretch of land there, and there's just no waterway. It must have been so frustrating. And you can't... Later, they would disassemble the boats and carry them over, because even that took less time.
Balboa?
Oh
Balboa did that, I think.
Yeah, because even that was less difficult than sailing around South America.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All the way around.
Because that little thing, Panama, is just a tiny Band-Aid that connects the 2 continents.
Wow.
So, to this point, they haven't lost anyone, but Magellan's brave as fuck. Like, he's a good at navigating waters and figuring out how far they're going, and the way they have
These guys had to be hard as nails.
Chart longitude. Yeah, you don't even want me to go into life aboard a ship. It's especially for your average sailor. Like, and even if you're dying of scurvy, you got to go work, or they'll whip you up there. The boatswains will. And scurvy's a fun thing, man. Like, you can't make collagen, and you can't keep your collagen, so it starts to break down. Your gums and your teeth get it first. They swell up and start to bleed, and your teeth fall out. And then because scar tissue is basically all collagen, it breaks down, and old wounds open up.
They must have been running when they got to Panama. They must have been grabbing every fruit they could find.
Well, they had no idea what fixed it.
What caused?
No idea yet.
Oh, they didn't even.
The British Navy
The
British Navy eventually figured it out, and that's how British got to be called limeys, because they got a ration of lime juice, 1 tablespoon every day.
Citrus.
Wow.
Some British naval scientists figured out, like, we got to know why our dudes aren't getting sick.
Well, also quinine, which you have in tonic water. That's a big reason. That's quinine prevents scurvy.
Wow.
The reason that a lot of the captains and officers didn't get the scurvy is because they had a stash of quince that they would dip into, and it had enough vitamin C in it to keep them going.
What's quince?
It's like an apple liquor.
Yeah.
Never heard.
Well, quince is an actual fruit, and then I don't know what that was.
They made some kind of thing out of it so that it would keep.
So they didn't know that
they didn't
it was
know
the
that's
quince
why.
that was actually doing
but they'd get there, and then
alcohol?
they'd pick fruits and stuff, and they'd eat them, and they'd start feeling better. And they thought it was something about the quality of the air in certain areas of the sea, like bad air.
Weird.
So
it would be hard to figure out, I guess. But
you'd think they would have known by then.
You would have been like, what's the one food we just can't have on ships because it doesn't last? But I guess vegetables they couldn't have either. So
and the amazing thing about Magellan's voyage is that there was a voyage chronicler named Antonio Pigafetta, and he's actually one of the people who survived, and he chronicled this whole journey like
meticulously.
Oh my God, meticulously. He was like he's kind of an anthropological pioneer, because all these tribes that they came in contact with that no one had come in contact with before, when he would engage them, he started learning the languages, like over in the Pacific. They were in the Philippines for so long. Like he acted as their interpreter at some places. He would talk to the natives and get them to like describe parts of their body. He started there. He was like fascinated with the natives and their sexuality. He had a lot of writing about that, and he like phonetically spelled out their words for different things.
Is this before?
He had strict orders from the king not to subjugate the natives, like to make favorable relations with them.
Which is smart.
And his mission was never to convert natives to Christianity. And what's Magellan's? He was never supposed to do that. And what's weird?
Told not to?
Yes.
Oh man,
that was not part of it, and that's what got him fucking killed. So I'll get to that though. So at that bay, there's these. They run into some natives there eventually that are really tall. They're the Patagonians, and they actually took one prisoner, but he died, possibly of scurvy also. They don't really know. They gave him a burial at sea. He had been baptized, so they changed his name to John the Giant, because they said he was like 8 feet. Like, we only come up to his waist.
He was probably like 6'6".
They said about 6, maybe up to 7 feet, but not too big. So anyway, they got freaked out about the natives because they had heard stories about cannibals and everything, and so they ended up a little scuffle, but they left. There was an attempted mutiny there. At one point, Magellan had lost 3 of the 5 ships, and by morning he had them all back with almost no help, man. The dude was smart and driven, man. And then he brutally fucking punished the leaders of the mutiny, like drawing and quartering. He marooned a priest and another Spanish captain, and the other Spanish captains were pissed because he was Portuguese. And so they're like, man, he tortured Spanish officers, and he was well within his rights to do this. Torture was like the thing of the day. Oh, yeah. Spanish Inquisition was going on. They were masters of torture. It was like official policy.
But this iron fist that comes down with ship captains it makes sense, right? Because if you're losing control, you're losing authority, they will kill. They're going to string you up eventually if they decide, if everyone gets on the team against you. Or the wrong powerful first mate gets convinced by the uprising. You have to just lay down the hammer of God and slit all their throats. Well, it sounds like much worse than slitting their
pardoned
throats.
a lot of the sailors because you gotta have
he
had to have
pull up the main mast and whatnot.
So like the
mizzen mast.
They tried a couple times to send expeditions down to look, like their smaller, more fleet ships, to look for this passage, and one of them ended up getting wrecked. The dudes had to walk all the way back across land. Big rescue mission. Anyway, they finally make it around, and he finds what eventually becomes the Strait of Magellan. Man, they get ripped by storms. And then the St. Elmo's fire would appear on the masts, on the metal up there, and they would take it. Yeah, they would take it as a sign from God that they had divine protection. And then they discovered
I would too.
They discovered that
there's a glowing going on. It's obviously God.
Well, then they discovered the Southern Cross, the constellation that people ended up navigating by, which they took as another sign of like their divine protection.
So they're seeing new constellations, which makes perfect sense because they're circumnavigating the
Magellanic clouds, 2 galaxies, one close and one actually very far.
Maybe one was Andromeda, maybe not.
I don't think so. They listed them in the book, but I didn't commit that shit to memory. He sent out. It was kind of treacherous down there. They have these weird kind of storms that roll down off the mountains and just wreck shit. Right down there between South America and Antarctica. So he was trying to pick his way through. So he sent some of the smaller ships in, and the San Antonio mutinied again and took off back to Spain. They Mosquito was the captain, and they mutinied, stuck him in the hand, imprisoned him, went back to Spain. Eventually, to shorten up that story, they get back there. They tell a bunch of lies about Magellan. They minimize their role in the mutiny, like they kind of had to do it because he was torturing Spanish officers, and they demonize Mosquito and Magellan. So for a while, even after all this is over, Magellan's reputation is totally smeared. His family's smeared. They're like disgraced. He didn't get his credit till down the road when people started really reading Pigafetta's journal, he was real pro Magellan, like loved the guy.
Interesting.
So they get around the Cape finally. Magellan does everything he can. He thinks that ship got scuttled. He knows there's a potential that they mutinied, but he thinks it might have been scuttled. He does everything that was in his doctrine given to him by the king to locate that ship and then to leave signs for them like, hey, we'll put like flags up on these mountains and there'll be a box buried beneath it and that'll tell you which way we went. So he does everything he's supposed to do. They make it around. It's funny the way the guy documents like penguins and sea lions and all these things, and they'll just fucking eat anything.
Oh yeah,
eat it. The flying fish down there. He talks about the tuna hunting them and how they fly for as long as they can and then get gobbled up. So a lot of cool stuff like that, like seeing these things for the first time.
They were probably seeing mermaids left and right, which were oftentimes dugongs, which are this ocean-going mammal, 800-pound giant sea cow. Oh, wow. They're called, and they just have this like floppy lip. Upper lip that hangs down, and they vacuum up the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, I think they're related to manatee.
Yep, exactly.
Well, in these they were calling them like cows, and he just the way he describes it is really funny. So they make it around, and now they think that they're going to be in the Spice Islands over by India. They don't know anything about the Pacific, and it's the biggest body of water. Like it's like 60% of the goddamn globe.
Yeah.
So they have no idea what they're about to get into. And it takes them forever. Like they end up in the Philippines, scurvy's wrecking people. Like people are always like verging on being mutinous, but not because Magellan just keeps driving them. And they said if you follow their course, and nobody knew anything about the Pacific, so there was all these times they could have possibly hit these islands like Hawaii, and they said if you followed the actual course, it would look like they were trying to avoid the islands, but they just had no idea where they were going. And they hit these winds that are like the trade winds that were just pushing them, man. Like they were moving so fast every day. So they end up they come to a few islands and they meet with a few, like the islands of thieves, where these people had no idea of private property. So when they came on the ships, they just took all this stuff and walking away. They took one of the longboats, and so that like he goes ashore and burns some shit. It's like, God damn it! And then they end up trading, but then like they steal a couple people to help them pilot the waterways.
Yeah,
they end up in the Philippines, and he starts getting real cozy with the chiefs there. And now he's begun to baptize people. Magellan has.
Even though he wasn't supposed to.
Right. They've begun to convert him to Christianity. And he starts making little, like they always fire off their cannons and all their arquebus and the things that he like wants to show them, the armor and the swords, and they smack the guys with the swords, and they're like, oh my God, like how could he take all that? And they're like, oh, it's we have armor, we're Spanish lions, like don't resist us.
Yeah.
Like trade with us, we're going to be kind to you, but
those cannons blew their minds.
Yeah. They would try to jump off the ships when they would go off. They're like, Argh.
Yeah.
So
never heard that anything of that decibel in their life ever.
Yeah. And the men were like constantly trying to get with the exotic women and just loving it. They try to sneak him back on board. One of them brought his illegitimate son from one of the native women in Brazil, like on the board with around
Did these guys have any slaves with them on the ships?
No, Magellan had a slave, but nobody else. They weren't allowed on the ships. They were told not to take slaves.
Interesting.
How long were they gone total?
3 years.
Oh, a 3-hour tour.
Yeah. So they make it to the Philippines. They start getting real friendly with the natives. All kinds of feasting, trading. Claiming it for Spain. And then he really gets hungry to convert people to Christianity. So he's kind of like, look, you're going to fall in. You're going to swear loyalty to the King of Spain. And he tells the one guy there, who they end up calling the Christian king, his name's like Hamadrum or something. He goes ashore with like 15 guys in armor, and they had to wade ashore, and they only armored their tops, so they had bare legs, and they're shooting poison arrows at him, and they wrecked him. Magellan got cut, literally hacked to pieces. He was floating around in the bay.
Oh.
Pieces of Magellan.
The guy Pigafetta was devastated, the chronicler. He was right there when it happened. He was one of the guys who went ashore. He saw him fall, and then they pounced on him, were cutting him up as they were getting away in the longboats. They asked for his body back. They're like, yeah, no. So they carry on. They actually find this. They lose one boat there, so now they're down to 2 boats. So eventually they get all this clove, and it's going to be worth, that shit was worth so much money. So they fill all the holds. 2 ships are going to head back, but then they find out one of them's just leaking like a sieve. It ends up having to stay behind for repairs while the Victoria leaves, which is one of the smaller boats. It's going to try to make it down around Africa and back to Spain. It's armadas have a hard time making. How's one ship going to make it?
Well, they're going back the other way?
Yeah, they're going to circumnavigate the globe, man. They're going all the way around. Because now they know they can do it. They know the way back.
Right.
So, but it still ain't easy. So finally they get back to Spain. There's only 18 dudes out of the 260 that left, one raggedy ass boat. So, but I think honestly that's the greatest voyage man has ever taken.
Yeah, you were saying you thought that trumps the moon landing.
Yeah, because of the moon, we knew how to get there. We knew where we were going. These dudes knew nothing.
If we actually did.
And they literally, about navigation. Yeah, if we did actually go to the moon, they knew nothing about navigation, about what they did. They proved that the world was round. That's the first time people knew for fucking sure. You can sail this way and get back here you can come in the back door, homie.
It's true, man. I mean, you definitely need that knowledge before you're ever going to the moon.
They
don't even know the moon is a ball.
They dispelled all these.
Probably a plate like us.
Yeah, they thought you couldn't go these places because there were at the equator the ocean was going to boil and it would just kill everyone, and that there were magnetic islands where if you sailed too close, that's just. They proved all those myths wrong. It's he kicked off the age of discovery even more big time.
Yeah, it's like those old ancient navigational maps where there's just a skull and crossbones on a 8,000 square mile portion of ocean that says there be danger here. Don't go here. Bad things might happen.
And I think it
wasn't very scientific.
I think Eddie would get a kick out of the fact that it was his religious fervor and the feeling that he was divinely protected and almost omnipotent that eventually got him.
Yeah.
If he'd have just stuck to the mission. But they thought they were going to have a lot of stuff to gain from the native peoples. They were going to be able to there were going to be spices everywhere. They thought the Spice Islands were just
they thought there's going to be El Dorado, the city made out of gold in Mexico. That they were searching for that. 100 years later, they were still looking for that. Trudging through the forest looking for a city made out of gold.
That's what Cortez thought he was looking for.
Yeah, El Dorado, yeah. Episode 58 of the Radical Agnostic, in the bag. Thank you all for listening, and contact
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for your contributions. You should come back more. Anything else, guys? All right. Mark, you've been asleep.
Yeah, I was running on.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday for more of this show.